Okay, so now it's just some general horrible things that happen. I actually was on a call with the rest of the staff, some of the rest of the staff that are involved in this lawsuit with me. So we just were kind of shouting out things to mention that we wanted to make sure that we brought up in these conversations. And one of them was the intimidation. So there was a constant threat that there was no money, and so that at any minute, if one of us worked overtime or if we got the correct amount on our paychecks or whatever, that somebody would lose their job. Along that same line, Jeff really played all of us against each other, or tried to always make us feel like someone else was a threat to our job, or that our jobs were threatened. There were a bunch of occasions where like something would happen and one of us would be calling the other one of us like, please answer him, please come in, because he said he was going to fire you. On my list of things that happened back then that I have written down was a time that he had a long conversation with Kat about someone else's job, how much they made, and how that's why she couldn't get a raise, because I think the whole time I was there I got like a 10-cent raise or something. And although I was making more than anyone else at the agency at the time, I also was making probably $20,000 less than I should have for that position, and everybody else made less than me, so it wasn't much. Jeff would scream. There was a time where it was very ironic when we sort of came forward when the agency first closed, talking about some of the things that happened to us in a very small degree. I remember Ann Tischer publicly ridiculed us on social media and like made a joke out of what we said, like we were being dramatic. I addressed her on that post. And then she ended up inboxing me privately and apologizing. But it was so ironic because there was a time where I was in the office with Jeff and she was there also, and he was screaming at her so loudly that you could hear it from his office that was way in the back of the building all the way to the front desk. And a lot of times the front desk workers would hear him like screaming at us. Which again, he was a big guy, so that was pretty intimidating for some of our staff members. There was this awful, giant, creepy picture, like artwork. It was all black, ghouly, scary guy picture that had been donated to us to like auction or something. And Jeff thought it was funny to sit it behind the desk of one of our employees that had diagnosed and documented like anxiety and anxiety issues, and he thought it was funny to put the picture near to her desk so that it would intimidate and scare her. We were constantly being threatened to get fired. I think I mentioned that some of our trans employees, he would always talk about how they wouldn't get treated well anyplace else, how they never find another job, so they better kind of deal with whatever he was dishing out because that was the only chance they had. Always threatening to like pass people over for jobs or give somebody else their job. We had no HR, so we couldn't there was no one to go to with any complaints or concerns about the things that were happening. He and Braden kind of had this standoff at one point because we were supposed to get mileage reimbursements, and Braden had to drive all over the place to get stuff for programming. And every time he would turn in mileage, he would direct his assistant to bring it back to Braden and tell him no, or he would bring it to me like, Jeff wants to know why there's mileage, and I'm like, because Jeff asked him to drive all over the place to do his job. And he would basically threaten to withhold his pay if he didn't take it back, like pull it out. And that's why it's hard with this lawsuit, because they're like, oh, well, we want to see the payroll that says you didn't get paid. It's like when, Uber Eats doesn't deliver your drink with your food. Like, how shall I prove to you that I didn't get a drink? Like, send you a picture like this. So it's hard to document the things that we were like threatened out of doing. Like, how does one prove that? Oh, there was a time that he had one of the staff going through his phone looking for pictures and then made a joke because they came across nude pictures in his phone. That was funny.